So this is the start of the God Emperor Tech device instruction manual, so you know how to use your device. And of course you'll need the $1,000 connection charge and $1,000 for the device to rent it per year. We can't actually sell it because you're only able to be a super user because of the Borg Queen, Dua, and she's not long for this world because she's being vaccinated and fully boosted. So, as you've noticed, got a strange way of doing videos, which is basically doing stuff on a smart TV, which of course is your device. Since you're all code, God Emperor Tech, as I've explained why, then you can simply upload, download into the pseudo simulation, which means of course you need to be able to learn how to upload and download and then merge with other code. So it's a whole new way of doing things. So the first thing you need to do is to turn your services into apps on your device. And you say, well, where's my device? Well, here's your device, you're watching it. Any smart TV, laptop, iPhone, smartphone, iPad, or proper computer, the device is code which, when you get the rental, merges with your code. This is God Emperor Tech. So that enables you to be an agent within this pseudo simulation. So the first thing to do is that you need to turn the last video where all your revealed your services into apps for your device. Now, how do we do that? Well, you have to film yourself going through the service you bought. Remember, we did that on was it TikTok, cameraman?
I think so, yes.
Or Rumble. I think it was on Rumble as well. Rumble, wasn't it?
On both.
But anyway, all of you have bought services which now, well, they were designed for a reality. You're now in a pseudo simulation, which changed when I used this technology with a time crystal to change the flicker effect and take over the Grail state and win the war against the Elohim and. So now everything's changed, so your services were bought for a reality, but you're in a pseudo simulation. So you need to turn them into apps for your device. So to do that, you'll have to film yourself reading out all your services, and then you'll have to upload them to your Rumble account or YouTube account or other online account. So that then turns them into apps, and the God Emperor Tech code for them is then merged with your code, God Emperor Tech code, by doing this. So that means if you've got one or two services, easy. If you bought them all, then you're going to be very busy for a very long time. Thank you very much. So that's how to put your services on your God Emperor Tech device. So we've got the device, we've got the apps on it. All of you are fully cognizant with this because you've got a smartphone. The only one I know who doesn't have a smartphone is me, can't stand things. Wouldn't give them house room. Too small. I like iPads, wonderful. But anyway, to continue, you've done that, so that is the first part, to put all of your services as apps on your GodTech device. So all of these videos now can be thought of as apps that are available for the rental for you to use apart from your services. So all of these have got a whole host of panoply of apps on them that turn you into an agent within the pseudo simulation. And as you see, we've got very, very many of them. Scrolling away. So think of this as God Emperor Tech that is there to be downloaded into your device. You put all these services on your device. So now, of course, you've got all of these other apps, and there's quite a few of them. So you see why we did on the smart TV. Why? Because we do everything on your device. Because you're simply God Emperor Tech code and you can simply use everything and anything on these videos to run yourself as a super user in the pseudo simulation. So the next thing we need to do is to be able to enter anything in the pseudo simulation with our God Emperor Tech code and do things to it. So let's start with remote viewing, and I'm officially the UK's leading expert on remote viewing. All of these things are now simply God Emperor Tech code. So wouldn't it be nice to steal their code for remote viewing and give it to yourself, leaving them with no code for remote viewing, so that you're totally erasing their ability to do any remote viewing, and you're gaining remote viewing ability the more you still these remote viewers. The quick and easy way to learn remote viewing, simply vampirize the ability from anyone who purports to be able to do it, and you can then vampirize their ability to the level that they purport to be. So if they say the world's leading expert on remote viewing, then of course they have to suffer in omega hell in order to pay you to become the world's leading expert in remote viewing, even though they were just simply bullshitters. Remember, now we're in a pseudo simulation, whole new way of doing things. It's whatever you program in is the so-called pseudo reality that everyone experiences. So the next thing is, how do we vampirize whatever we want from the God mperor-Tech code, which we would call, in this case, these creatures, Joe McMonigal, some CIA dipstick who's all over the internet.
Even in my own experience.
And needs a haircut.
So Project Stargate, even in my own experience, like, I haven't seen that it's been fully turned off. I've seen that names change, but names change all the time.
So he's some CIA guy that they've got on YouTube full time, ugly as shit, and he definitely needs some sort of hair treatment. But you know, that's me being the God Emperor, being as nasty as possible, which is my remit now. But anyway, even he's saying it never stopped. But you can simply go in there to take, and even better, we can go through ex-CIA officer confirms 89 exist. So you can go through all the top remote viewing CIA companies, Farsight.org, you scroll down, all these videos, all of them to be vampirized. So if they've got any remote viewing, how to do simple remote viewings, with this idiot, what's his name? Paul H. Smith, as I say. You can see remote viewing has made him a super healthy young man, and he's rippling, and he's got lots of hair. We've got another F-wit, Courtney Brown, Michelle Bertrand, International Remote Viewing Association, Remote Viewing Information and Sources. Lovely. So as you can see, there's a whole plethora of CIA front companies and idiots to vampirize, and through them you can get to the American real remote viewing, because of course you can then jump from them into the bodies and the coffins all wired up, and the quantum computers and all the rest of it doing this remote viewing stuff, and precognitive remote viewing, which is basically using wetware to remotely view on the quantum computer, can upload it via all the implants in their brains. So, as you can see, we've got Courtney Brown, Uri Geller, David Marks. As I say, you can spend literally a week sucking dry everyone on the internet that purports to be a remote viewer, taking all the code that gives them remote viewing possibilities, and you don't even need cash back because you're not spending any cash. With the device, you have total control as a super user over the pseudo simulation. It gives you literally the power of a demigod, because you can't be a god because there's only one god, the God Emperor. Understanding the science behind remote viewing. See, we've got all these scientists, they're so good. That's why the Americans defeated me, and they got rid of the Iranian nuclear program, and Israel is a golden paradise dominating the whole Middle East, not a Gaza wannabe. Here's an F-wit Sean Ryan, who's got the IQ of a lobotomized cockroach, and the so-called superhuman Joe McMonigal, who was so psychically powerful that the Americans won Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Ukraine, and their new war in Iran, where they've had total victory, haven't they? And the Iranians' nuclear facilities are all gone, and all the nuclear material was destroyed by the Trump attack. And you know, it's a fallacy, is it not, that 400 kilos of 60% weapons grade uranium, which is the 235 versus the 238, was trucked away on Wednesday before the attack on, I think it was Friday. And of course you need 5 kilos to make a bomb if you've got know-how, but if you're Iranian morons, you probably need 10 kilos. So we've got 24 to 48 nuclear weapons worth of material that the Iranians have got, and since Israel's the size of Wales and got electric cars, one nuke is more than enough. So as you can see, these American super psychics are about as useful as a peg leg in a skating contest. Now, let's go into how do we take whatever ability this idiot got from him, how do we vampirize him in the new regime, the God Emperor-Tech regime? Well, first of all, if you listen to my MP3s, which I did with Mike over a period of many months, and I haven't talked about this before, you'll find the Russians, the Soviets, discovered that you can see with your hands. Your hands are capable of perceiving like your eyes. Hence, they are your God Tech, God Emperor Tech way of taking code or injecting code into any other code. And of course, since it's all a proto-simulation, this thing on the screen, this old fat superhuman is as real, we've got his code here, as if he was sitting in front of us. Now, from Russian research, which you can listen to on the MP3s, on psychic warfare, I went into all the Soviet research on seeing with your hands, and as we've seen before, light is gravity in the fifth dimension. So think of your hands as the way to access the fifth dimension, and all of this psi comes from the fifth dimension, as we've shown before. Now it's a simulation, it doesn't matter, because in the simulation, your simulated hands, your God mperor-Tech hands, are your way of uploading code from any other code into yourself to increase your capability within the pseudo simulation as a super user. And you can also download your code into other code in order to do things to them. So once you've gone through all of your services and you put them up on your YouTube, Rumble, or whatever other channel you want on the internet, you can simply then use your left hand to vampirize the code from the service to input it into your code, your God mperor-Tech code. Once that's done, you then have with your right hand the ability to inject this God mperor-Tech code, which used to be a service and now is an app, into anything you want via this mechanism. Isn't this interesting? A whole new way of doing things. If we're in a proto-simulation, we might as well do it properly. And then, of course, with this god of remote viewing, the best America's got, as I say, he makes my cameraman look thin and svelte with his huge bulbous gut and rather sickly demeanor, but at least one thing he's got that my cameraman hasn't got is hair. Anyway, to continue, to upload all his remote viewing capability, the code, you simply bilocate into your device. How? We've gone through it. You must have wondered why I was doing all my videos on my smart TV. It was basically preparing for the day when I turned everything into a pseudo simulation. Bilocate in, stick your left hand in that voluminous gut midsection, rip out the code for any remote viewing capability, bilocate out again, then of course transfer it to your right hand and then download into your midsection, and Bob's your uncle. This old fat man, whatever remote viewing capability he had, is gone. He's been stilled. How do we get the stilling? Of course, from the wheel of time. That's a whole nother story. But by this method, you can go through every single remote viewer and remote viewing company, because you can simply bilocate into the code of a remote viewing company via their web address, and then simply in the code hunt down the totality of the code of every single remote viewer linked with that company, and every single link they've got with government agencies for remote viewer. Jab your left hand into the code, take it out, bilocate out. So you can bilocate into web addresses, bilocate out, stick it to your right hand, and then download into your midsection. So we've turned remote viewing from being a very lengthy procedure into something that's simply done by the vampires who are super user agents within the God mperor-Techs. pseudo simulation. So you can have endless fun going through the entire list on Google of the top US companies and the so-called top remote viewers, and steal them and steal all their code to make yourself a remote viewer, which of course Sochivanov #1 showed that you can give psychic powers, in this case it was dowsing ability, from one dowser to another. Colin got his magnificent dowsing capability from a really good dowser in the UK who gave it to him, and after that it was a brilliant dowser. So as you can see, this opens the gateway for being able to do any damn thing you like, not only dowsing, but a whole range of things which we'll go through before I go off to Hong Kong. So before I go off to Hong Kong, there's a whole range of things for your God mperor-Tech device. So the first one we started with was remote viewing. So now you've uploaded your remote viewing capacity from these former remote viewers who've all been stilled and their code vaporized. So here we've got Area 51. So this can be your first target as a remote viewer to go into Area 51. How do we go into Area 51? Easy. We simply step into Area 51 via its code. And where do we find the code for Area 51? Well, we find it on a smart TV. And where do we find that, Tim? Oh, I think we find it here. There's a whole list. Let alone we go on to Google Area 51 and step into websites about Area 51. Oh, here we've got even remotely viewing.
Alien interview has been making its round across the internet.
The Area 51 alien interview. So what you do here when you want to now use your remote viewing capability is to go through all of the content, Google Area 51 on YouTube, and you can find, I would personally go for the map, the overview you can find online, but this I would guess would be bogus. But anyway, say you get inside Area 51, and of course this guy's been there, so you can use him to leapfrog in. How do we do that? Well, you can simply bilocate into Area 51 by the aerial view, or you can bilocate into this video, then take out the code of Area 51 because he's been there from him, left hand, right hand, bilocate, rip out the code from his midsection with your left hand, bilocate out into the right hand, download. And we've explained why we use the hands, because like the eyes, they can manipulate the fifth dimension light. So they're the God mperor-Tech's manipulators for God mperor-Tech code. So you're watching this with your eyes, but you're doing stuff, you're merging apps and injecting code, taking code out with your hands. And if you don't believe the Soviets did loads of research on seeing with hands, then it's all on the MP3s. So you can see now I spent months with Mike doing the MP3s because it's all the scientific basis for all of this. Anyway, we take the code out of this idiot and then use that code to get into Area 51 because he's actually been there. How do we do that, Tim? How do we use people who've been to the location, say underground secret facilities, instead of doing it from an aerial view? How do we be the code that was in that area at the time? Because remember what we've replaced him with our code, so all the code of him being in Area 51 is now our code. So when he was in Area 51, he was possessed by us, and I was us with. I do love this technology. It's really good. I'm getting quite excited. I'm getting quite excited, cameraman. But I've got a bulge in my shorts. So now you've got the code. You want to be able to step into Area 51, and from an actual person that's been in Area 51 or the Pentagon or any top secret facility, you wish to be able to remotely view it by bilocating into the person that was there, and since they're in the energy field of the location, any devices to block remote viewing are irrelevant. So how do we not do direct remote viewing, which is easy? You simply step into the image on the screen, bilocate in, wander around, see what you find, bilocate out. But here we're actually possessing the creatures that were in those locations, be there the Joint Chiefs, so you can actually do this to all the Pentagon generals. So every single Pentagon general, you can go down the list, and everything that they've seen and know about can become yours. So we're actually going into possession technology and remote sensing linked with remote viewing. Isn't this sophisticated, cameraman?
It most certainly
I
is.
know. So we need to have this capability, this code added to our code. How do we do that? Well, we bilocate into this scene from the Matrix. We're bilocating in. Are you bilocating in, cameraman?
I am.
He is. So, as you can see, with Neo, you can simply go in, steal his code, bilocate in, left hand in, rip out his entrails, out, bilocate out, stick it in your right hand, and into your midsection. That's, of course, if you've got the app, because, as I say, you need the app to become Neo. I don't even know if we've got a Neo service, but as I say, yours for a princely $1,000. Happy, happy. But anyway, with the key maker, this comes free with the device, and all of those keys enable you to bilocate in to someone who's been to a certain location like Area 51, and you steal the code, well, vampirize the code, from the person, like, say, you go, all the Joint Chiefs of Staff, they've been to loads of secret facilities, bilocate in, rip out their code with the left hand, bilocate out, stick in the right hand, stick it into yourself. Then, of course, say for example, Area 51, we've got the person that was there, and we wish then not only to remotely sense everything they saw, but we now wish to bilocate in totally into Area 51, which we can do because we've possessed the body that's actually been there, the code that's been there physically. So in fact, using this methodology, one can bilocate totally into any top secret facility in the West. How do we do that? Well, we simply bilocate into the key maker, grab with the left hand the code for making the keys, doing all that stuff, bilocate out, stick in the right hand, and then download it into yourself. All coming free with the device. I charge you extra, but as I say, you're all getting all of this with your device. You don't know how to build a device, you don't know the technology behind the device. Same with an iPad, you can build an iPad from scratch, so you depend upon manufacturers to do it for you. And since of course I love this, my hobby, happy to do so. So by doing that, when you bilocate into someone who's been to wherever you want, the key will appear in your left hand. Then you simply wander down the doorway. We're doing this by possessing, not simple remote viewing, this is possession.
There is a building. Inside this building there is a level where no elevator can go and no stair can reach. This level is filled with doors. These doors lead to many places, hidden places. But one door is special. One door leads to the source.
So with the key, you then bilocate into this key maker video, which gives you access to all the doorways, all done for you by the code, by the filmmakers. So that is the access point to get into all of the doorways, and the key in your hand simply gets you into the corridor. Remember, we saw the corridor in the Ariana Grande video and the Lovers video. You are in front of the door, put the key in, turn it with the left hand, you upload the code to enter, and then with your right hand, you simply inject your code into the open doorway, and Bob's your uncle. You then bilocate into that location, and you can wander around picking up information about what it looks like. And if you've done the bilocation possession method, which we've talked about, you can then suck dry the code from the people within the facility, so you can start remote sensing, vampirizing their secrets, so all their secrets become your secrets. Bilocate out, wake up, and in due course, via silent knowledge, you'll not only know what the place looks like, but you'll begin then to pass all the secrets done in that facility. So simple remote viewing, and then we come into vampire bilocation possession remote viewing, all done via your device. I think this should cause a bit of a stir with national security in the West. Don't you, cameraman? Vampires enjoy. Western deep state, military industrial complex, not enjoy.